So yeah, as I said, a man that doesn't really need an introduction. I've done a lot of sessions with Josh Phegan and taken a lot out of it, and always love to hear his insights on the real estate sector. So looking forward to your session today. How you doing, Josh?
Yeah, doing really well. Well, Toby, it's great to see so many people there, and already Paul Sibley's put in that he's from Hampton East in Buxton. I've got to see Trevor Bowen on here as well, and plenty of great clients right the way from across Australia and New Zealand. So, Toby, I want to jump straight in. I'd love that everyone puts as many questions as they can, and certainly we're going to do a lot of live Q&As as we get to the end of today's session. But I'm super excited. Never, ever been seen before what we're about to go through, which is an active pipe first, but most importantly, Josh Phegan first, to get you to understand the new era that we're operating in. So let's have a quick look at that and see what we can be doing as phenomenal agents. And this is a really great space for you to hang out today, is to thinking about what you can be doing. So today I want to get you away from COVID. I want to get you into the future of what is really going to be happening in this new era. And certainly hasn't been ushered in with great gusto and speed since the start of this year. Who would think that we're already at the start of September, already listing auctions for October and even early November. And now more than ever before, we are actually in a position that there is about 8 or so auction Saturdays left to book for the rest of 2020. So literally it is moving at rapid speed, and we need to be going with it as much as we can as agents. So let's have a look about the things that have absolutely and fundamentally changed. The first key thing is that the new era has ushered in the age of safety and performance. And this is such an important thing to understand, that today, more than ever before, consumers are choosing agents because they are a safe option, but most importantly, they are choosing agents because they are one that can actually perform. And this is a really important thing to note about what is actually happening. Let's have a quick look about where we were and certainly where we're going. We know that we've been through an incredible decade. And if you had gone to any real estate conference in the course of the last 10 years, you would have heard about the disruption and what that looks like. Well, now we're literally in the midst of it. And it really has been the decade of convenience. The decade of convenience saw rapid changes to everything. And ultimately, there was the iPhone, the App Store, Uber, the AIRBNB experience of every industry that you went to go and operate in. And this is the whole idea that we now press a button and things just turn up. It's the whole idea that we just expect home delivery and takeaway just to be the norm at our local restaurant, that in the past would never have done that. And ultimately, we've got businesses that are considering new business models that they'd never, ever, ever even remotely had as a consideration list. And the secret is that that has 100% shifted. We're no longer in the convenience era. We absolutely just expect it. And what I want you to think about is that in this new era, in the way that we go to work with clients, we now need to make sure that we understand exactly what their preferences are. Now, for any of you that have trained with me over a period of time, we know that at any one time, a consumer can make decisions based on 6 key things. That's either safety, performance, appearance, convenience, economy, or reliability. So at a safety level, they might go and buy the Volvo. At a performance level, they buy the Porsche 911. At an appearance level, they buy the Bentley. And then if you think about it, at a convenience level, they buy the Toyota Hilux, one of the highest selling cars in Australia. At an economic level, maybe they buy the Toyota Prius. And then in addition to that, at a reliability level, maybe they go and buy the Toyota. And so this is the whole idea that consumers choose things in different eras, and particularly around different products and services. This is why off-market was such a significant driver for the real estate market, because it helped to drive that era of convenience. But now we know that people have absolutely shifted, and it happened in March this year, where they moved from this convenience era into literally the era based on safety and performance. One, at the first level, to reduce the health risks that were associated with COVID-19. Not wanting to have people inside of the house, not wanting to necessarily do open for inspections, wanting to limit the number of people that were turning up to auctions. And right the way around the country, whether or not you're in New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, Western Australia, or even overseas in New Zealand, every single market has a different set of rules, a different set of regulations, a different set of laws around what we can be doing inside of the business. And what we know is that ultimately people are choosing agents that can perform given these sets of criteria. And what we want to be doing today is we want to set you up for an incredible level of success around the actions that you can be undertaking. At the end of the day, a lot of us hear this thing about machine learning. And what is machine learning? Basically, every single click that you take online, people learn about what it is that you're doing. Every single time you put a search into Google, they learn what it is that you're trying to seek knowledge. And at the end of the day, if you want to know what someone's thinking, ultimately go and get a look of their search history inside of Google, and you'll have a very, very clear idea around what it is that they're doing. And this is an interesting conversation. Police now use this, particularly in murder investigations and some of those things that go on. to see what people were Googling in the 24, 36 to 48 hours before that particular crime was committed. And this just goes to show you that at all levels, whether or not it's criminal activity right the way through to doing a real estate transaction, and those two are very far apart, is that ultimately is about what's happening at a machine learning level to learn about our preferences and our profiles. And what we've learned in the social world is that they try to learn a lot about us and keep on serving us those particular things. But there is another thing that a lot of people don't really think about, and it really is what we go to call human learning. What are we doing with the human being that is directly in front of us? And how are we learning from that particular person? Well, the easiest way to learn is to ask great questions, to open them up for an incredible conversation. And ultimately, this is where you could really go to maximize your client relationship. Because what you want to think about is at the end of the day, today's customer is coming with a very specific problem that they need fixed. And they're looking for us to fix that particular problem. You don't walk into an open home, you don't inquire on the major real estate portals, you certainly don't open your ActivePipe email and click around there just for fun. At some level, you have got some sort of thing that you're looking to do at a real estate level, whether or not that's purchasing, whether or not that's selling, whatever it is to try to drive the level of momentum. At the end of the day, you want to think about some great questions that are going to help you to qualify both buyers and sellers better than ever before. And my two favorite questions at the moment are, what's the problem that you're looking to solve by buying, moving, or selling? Now, in a fascinating book that spoke all about this around called Spin Selling, the whole idea was that a lot of us go to ask questions of customers, but we don't really think about the outcomes. And those questions are usually very situational based questions. You know, bed, bath, car, area, all of those types of things. Price, what would you like to spend? But those situational questions don't actually give us the emotive, powerful forces behind the decisions that people are making, which is what we go to call our problem-based questions. So problem-based questions help you to do that. And this is a fantastic example of a problem-based question. What is the problem that you're looking to solve by buying, by selling, by moving? Now, we know that in previous ActivePipe webinars, we've spoken about that. They're moving because we've got a growing family, deceased estate, nursing home, divorce, job relocation, investors, developers, downsizing because the kids have left home. They've got all sorts of different things that go on, whether or not it be bankruptcy, CEO tree change, aspirational sellers. And the lesson is that if we can find out exactly what the customer is looking to do, then we can significantly change the overall result. The next question that I love to work with people on is how urgent is that problem for you? And this is such a great question because that level of urgency will determine the speed at which people ultimately act. Now, if you think about this, I love this to really open people up. How urgent is that problem for you? Oh, well, we need to do something by September. We need to do something by October. We need to do something this year. No, next year's going to be fine. And that urgency will give you an idea on who are the people that are looking to do things that you need to be able to have on a better quality email list to really go and drive that result. So think about those two questions. What problem are you looking to solve by buying, selling, or moving? And how urgent is that problem for you? The more that you can understand that, the quicker that you can make your business move. What you want to really do is you want to make sure that you work on your question flow and you want to go deeper in the way that you work with customers. So classic example, what's the reason for the move? We need something bigger, but that's not one of the 11 customer problems. So we use two very simple words. Why is that? Because we're having a baby. Okay, great. When's the baby due? Did you want to move before or after the baby's born? And now what you're starting to really understand is that by going that next question, you really find out the detail of what the customer's after. Now that's what we go and call the 7 whys of Pinocchio. Why? And when you get to the why at the end, you'll probably start to understand the real reason why the customer is doing it. So make sure that your questions are logical. Make sure that they take the customer into the promised land. And the way to do that is to ensure that you're learning from the human that is directly in front of you. So why is that is a great way to be an extension question to further qualify and quantify exactly what it is that the customer is saying. At the end of the day, we have entered the prediction economy. And you look at us real estate agents, we're in a position that we buy data from anyone if they could tell us who the most likely consumers are going to be. We rush out to go and get data sets where data providers are telling us this particular person spent some money at Baby Bunting and this particular person spent some money over here at Bunnings. And so they're probably the most likely consumer. So you should get on the phone, you should have a conversation with them. But yet, when we think about this prediction economy, there are people that will sell your leads. They'll take 20% of the income base that you go to produce out of that particular listing based on whether or not someone entered some details into a form on a website or not. And what I know is that more than ever before, if we think about human learning, I can predict the next buyers. They're inquiring off the major real estate portals. They're clicking on your emails. They're turning up to private appointments when we can do them. They're turning up to open homes when they're legal. They're in a position, they're going to auctions. These are the people that I predict will be doing a real estate transaction. And if you think about it, you're either chasing your existing customers or you're trying to go and attract new. This is such an important conversation because a lot of people are out there and they're not chasing their existing customers. They're actually in a position that they're trying to attract new customers all the time. And the problem with that is that why do you need so many new customers? Why don't you just work with the existing customers that you've already got? So the new era is about understanding the power of the customer base. We've got all of these market appraisals, all these past clients, all these landlords, all the people that have inquired off the major real estate portals, all the people that have clicked on your emails, personal network, build architects, people in and around the local area. But what are you doing with that customer base to significantly move it and to make success happen for you? You see, every single person you have in your customer base has actually come to you. They came to your open, they inquired online, they called off your signboard. And this is such a powerful place that when the customer comes to you first, then it ultimately allows you to be able to build relationship because they've identified that they've already got a problem. Now, I'm not saying not to go out to new customers or not to go out to try to find people, but the lesson is, have we extracted the most with the existing relationships that we already have in play? At the end of the day, that's infinitely more powerful than the customers that you've gone to. If they've come to you, they're showing intent to want to do a transaction. And this is such an important part because maybe your branding or the marketing or the properties that you're taking to market are significantly interesting them around what they can be doing. At the end of the day, the opportunity is inside of the customers that you already know. But a lot of people don't think about getting on the phone and having good quality conversations. How many landlords does your business manage? How many of those landlords live inside of the market area that you serve? How many of those landlords have an appetite to buy another investment property? How many of those landlords are in a position that they'd like you to come out, give them a market appraisal on their existing principal place of residence, so then we can go and have some better conversations with them about maybe buying one of our new homes, about buying one of the existing investment properties, about buying a property from one of our projects, whatever it is that we do as agents. So if this starts to get your wheels spinning, it should, because the basic idea is that a business that does really well has repeat and return customers. So what are you doing to drive repeat customers? What are you doing to drive return customers? How much of your time, energy, and motion are you spending on getting back in front of those people that you already know? You know, you have to increase the size and the frequency of their spend. And this is such an important conversation. How do you get the landlord to buy another property? How do you get someone who's actually sold a property with you to sell another one? How do you get them to refer? The more that you can do that, the quicker that your business will ultimately grow. What we know is that this is a time for you to be playing to your absolute strengths. And the reason why strengths are such an important part, what are the things that you've got going on for you on the inside of your business that can significantly drive your amount of momentum? I get to work with agents who've been in real estate for a couple of weeks and people who've been in real estate for 38 years. And the differences in the strengths is unbelievable. Because the person who's coming in new to the business probably thinks about them as strengths. The person who's been in it for 38 years can't really write down their list of strengths because they haven't thought it through. And this is the problem, that as we continue to evolve as people and as human beings, as we go through this learning experience, we forget the skills that we've acquired and that other people don't even know they haven't acquired yet. And confidence is the master of action to make you get out there and to go and do great work. So what are the strengths at the moment that you've got that you should be leveraging? Is it your past clients? Is it your email clickers? Is it all the people that you've gone and done market appraisals for? And what are the strengths that you need to be developing right now? Maybe you need to be developing the strength of how to list property. Maybe it's developing the strength on how to keep your days on market short. Maybe it's developing your strength on how to go and use your active pipe email templates and using all of the great content production that is available to allow you to be able to assist customers to make more powerful and better quality moves. This is the important conversation, is that digital intent drives offline activities for the best in the business. I'm going to show you exactly the reasons why that is. One of the big conversations is that plenty of people will waste their marketing budget to increase the awareness of their business. They're going to have a quick look about how many people liked and commented and shared and tapped back and tapped forward and downloaded on everything that's happening on social. But yet what a lot of people forget is that in order to go and have a social account, you need to have an email address first. And the email address is effectively your breadcrumb of wherever you go across the internet that allows people to understand your digital intent. Now, at the end of the day, you can focus on either having an awareness campaign, and this is very commonly typified by a real estate agent who says, I need to get my name out there, versus actually having a conversion campaign, understanding exactly how the business works. How many people do we get to meet at the opens? How many of those people that we met as buyers over the course of the last month already own locally? How many then do we book in for a market appraisal, for a listing appointment, for a buyer appointment? How many of those people did we actually move through? How many past clients does your business actually have? How many of them were due for their annual checkup during the month of August that we've just seen? How many of them got the call? How many did we do the market appraisal, either in a virtual capacity if we're in Victoria or in a face-to-face capacity if we're in the other states? You see, this is the lesson, is to learn that the business is all about understanding about the landlords, the past clients, and the market appraisals, and the buyers that we get to work with as being the 4 major lead sources that will significantly grow your business. What we know more than ever before is that we need to be making better data-driven decisions. And data-driven decisions is about knowing exactly what it is that we should be calling based off the actions of those particular individuals. And one of my favorite ideas is to think about this. As you go about your real estate career, you're building up your email list, but how big is it? How many customers are you getting emails for? And it's amazing to see people that run very progressive businesses that don't pay attention to the data that's sitting inside of your own business. How many of those people are in a position that they've given you their email address? How many have opted in to receive emails directly from you? What's actually your open rate on all of those emails? And the reason I say this, on a day like today, we do quick question Tuesdays on our Instagram. What we know is that out of 11,000 people, about 1,000 people will literally open those. That equals about a 10% open rate. But yet, if I send a good quality email with the right subject line, the right body copy, the right properties to click on, I can get consumers up to a 35% open rate. 3.5 times more powerful than social, and we didn't even have to pay for any advertising to boost the email success. At the end of the day, what are the segments that sit inside of your database? And what do those segments actually receive? And this is such an easy thing. I want you to add you to your database and see what you get from you. What would you get if you were a buyer? What would you get if you were a seller? What would you get if you were a landlord? What would you get if you were a market appraisal? And what would you get from you if you were just a local owner in your marketplace? And this is such a powerful way to think about it. It's not just the size of the list, it's the segments that sit inside of that list will make a huge difference in the way that you go to communicate with people. At the end of the day, you receive 100 emails a day. You probably delete 70 of them. You open 30 and you click on 10. Why? Why is that the case? Why would 100 emails come in and you delete 70? Why would you be in a position you'd open the 30? Why would you go and click on 10 of those particular emails, the content that's in them? Because it holds interest for you. And this is such an important thing to think about it. Chase the customers who are telling you that they're interested. If they're opening their emails, if they're clicking on those things, they're showing you that they've got some level of digital intent. So what we're doing for our Melbourne agents at the moment, they're listing properties as yet to be photographed. They're putting it inside of their ActivePipe template. Then if someone clicks on any of those particular properties, they're then in a position to know that these are buyers that are genuinely interested in wanting to do some sort of purchase transaction. And that's a really important part to understand. At the end of the day, what to look for and how to capitalize on the trends that are reshaping this world in the post-COVID era. What we're seeing is a rapid shift in how people are working. We do more research online. We Google things, we turn up, we review them online, we watch the video, we go through the floor plans, we interact with the listing. We have a look at all of those photos, we do all of that, and then we send the inquiry and we see how long it takes for an agent to get back to us. Interesting enough, I was having a look at some property over the weekend. I sent a little email inquiry through. I had one of those agents come back to me at 7:30 a.m. on Monday morning. I had another agent come back to me late at 7 p.m. on Monday evening. Which is the agent that is more hungry to want to go and do the business. And it's about our urgency and our responsiveness that fundamentally changes the way that we go and do the work. So this new era is understanding that things are rapidly changing. We've moved to contactless. People want contactless payments, contactless deliveries, contactless experiences. We now look at it when someone hands a pen as though it's suspicious and we can't touch it. We're in a position that ultimately we have moved into a digital environment. That contactless means that now we need to think about what are the contactless experiences that we can provide to our agents. We already do this so well, but yet we know that real estate is very much a touch and feel experience for consumers, particularly when they get to those particular properties. The secondary thing is to think about is that speed to market has been a very significant driver. And that speed to market is about understanding off market has really moved into now being yet to be photographed. And what we know is that consumers are driven by this. Now, we would normally do this with every single one of our clients in maybe like a late October, November, December period when we're looking to list for February auctions. And the way that we do that is we have a section on our website coming in 2021. And we literally list all of those properties that we expect to come. And if people are clicking and interacting with those properties, they can inquire and we can maybe get buyers through those particular properties when it is appropriate to do so. Well, the best in the business are taking what we do over that Christmas New Year period and they're putting it into their business today. They're saying these are the properties, particularly for our Melbourne clients, that'll be launched after September 14. These are the properties. If they inquire on them, then they're people that are worthwhile picking up the phone and having a good quality conversation with. What we also know is that breaking news is breaking news. The best people that use the digital environment ensure that that digital environment supports what the agent does in their offline world. And in the new era, there's no reason that your database can't communicate to someone who has maybe bought from either you or from a competitor, particularly if your agency lists or sells a property in and around their particular home. Now, I'm on an interesting database inside of Carlton for a property they own in Melbourne. Interesting conversation. That particular agent has added me to his active pipe, and every single time he lists or sells a property within 1.5 kilometre radius of the subject property that I own, then literally he advises me of that listing and sales result. Now, this is important because the idea here is that breaking news is breaking news. Sending the email later on down the track doesn't get your result. Sending it now absolutely does. Nothing's going to be picking up the phone and having that call and that conversation, but the email is a great way to confirm the conversation once you've spoken to those particular parties. We know that ultimately we're in a very emotional era. People are being forced to move. They're in a situation they don't necessarily want to have to do it. Other people are saying that they're done with the way that they've previously been living, and now is the time to go and make those fundamental changes. When you're dealing with an emotional consumer, they're changing their preferences. This is why you have the ability on the email for them to click update preferences to change what it is that they're doing. But every single time that someone changes their preferences, do you get a report on that so you can go and ring those particular people, find out why there's been a change in relation to their preferences and match them to some of the properties that absolutely suit their requirements? And this is where the smarts are. The human learning is to think, what are the pivot points where customers are making a change in the way that they relate, in the types of conversations that they have, in what it is that they're telling us that they're ultimately looking for. Now, ultimately, the sale price of their existing home may have a significant bearing on what they can go to purchase the next one for. And this is where a great agent will see, hey, that particular person has changed their buying criteria. I'm now going to get on the phone. I'm going to go and ring them. I'm going to go and have a conversation about that and see whether or not I can go and do a market appraisal of their property, even if it is virtually in Victoria, to give them an idea on what it's worth. So then we can make sure that we've absolutely got them shopping in exactly the right price range. Now, that's really important because that emotional consumer is the then thing that we are now in an era where there is an uneven playing field. Anyone who's in the arts, entertainment, and hospitality industries are substantially impacted by COVID versus accountants, financial planners, and IT who are massively benefiting from this particular situation. Basically, all of the introverts are winning, or the extroverts are in serious trouble. We're in a position that anyone that's in front of customers is now in a position that they're having to hold back on their business, whereas those that get to just deal with customers from their bedrooms and from their offices without having to see them are the ones that are winning during the COVID era. This is massively important. How many of us actually truly understand the type of industries that we get to serve, the type of customer that's literally sitting or standing in front of us? Those people that are in a position that they own property at an arts, entertainment, or hospitality level are most likely going to be the ones that are going to be selling. Over 35% of the home loans that have gone on holiday are investors' loans. That tells you there's a ton of investors that will be dropping some of that stock because they'll need to be in a position they need to deleverage. But yet at the same time too, there's going to be a ton of investors that don't know where to place their money. Putting it in the share market is volatile. Putting it into gold has seen it gone up 30% in the course of the last 3 weeks. Putting it into the bank, that doesn't make any sense, a very low return rate. And residential real estate will be seen as one of the great safe havens of what is happening inside of this marketplace. At the end of the day, what you need to be thinking about is that if you want to win as an agent, you need to be seriously good at what you do. What are the game-changing questions that you ask? Every single time that you send an email, are you getting those reports? Are you thinking to call back those frequent clickers because they're identifying themselves as someone who's actually got real digital intent? This conversation is about knowing that the age that we're moving into is forcing us to absolutely play at our best when our best is needed. And our best, it's needed now. It's needed now in the way that we go to work with the customer in a digital environment, and then what we're doing with them directly in the offline environment. And you need to start thinking, why would I go and send all of these emails and never check who opens them? Why would I never call those particular people that are opening? The data set is literally sitting directly in front of you with some of the best call lists that you could ever have on the inside of your career. I hear a lot of people talk about AI and machine learning. And ultimately what they are is that people have gone in, they've got some scripts that have been able to identify particular records in your database where there's been no note made. I'm not interested in no note that's been made. I'm interested in what is this particular customer doing today? Are they opening our emails? Are they clicking on those emails? Are they searching on the major real estate portals for more expensive homes? Are they searching at sold results in lower priced areas? Are they clicking on specific links in that email that identifies that they're a particular type of customer because they're opening one of our specific life event guides? Imagine if you could pull up a list of everyone who's been clicking on the, are you going through any of these situations? And they click on the job relocation tab. They click on the, separation tab. They click on the, the situation that we're having a baby tab. And whatever it is, that if you identify that consumers are doing that, then you now understand at a digital level what problem it is that they're trying to solve. The secret to being seriously good is to be interested. You got to be interested in the customer. You got to be interested in their situation, and you got to learn how to ask questions that ultimately promote question flow. So you can really get to that outcome with the customer in a much, much better way. The secret to being interested is to opening up and understanding that your job role is to do what great real estate agents do. They get on the phone, they build a customer base, they work that customer base, they know the categories of their database, they know what those categories actually receive. They update their email templates. They update with the latest content. They're making sure they're getting very specific about what they're doing in the digital world so it can drive smarter, better, faster, offline activities in the way that you get on the phone to ring those people that are already opening up all of your emails. At the end of the day, you need to be an agent of the future. And the agent of the future is the person that is ultimately digitally empowered, but humanly connected. And the way that I would say that is that we've been learning a lot about what the machines are going to be doing into the future. What we've learned is that machines can't make decisions for people. They can't make decisions that are emotive. They can't help people in the human moments that we're currently experiencing. And what is massively important is that the age of the future of the most successful agents, we go by what they do, offline activities, digital environment to them, not replace on who the next people are that they. If you can do that, you will fundamentally win. So think about it. To be an agent in the future, be digital, learn how to humanly connect. Well, I think that's a great way to start our conversation today, and certainly one that allows us, Toby, to be really opening up people and to be getting them to be thinking about the agents of the future. I'd love to answer a lot of questions inside of our chat today. Feel free to put them into the Q&A section or onto the chat. But Toby, let's unbox, some of those key ideas, because we've been through a plethora of new thinking in a very short period of time. And it's important for agents to start to think about how they can use that to shift their daily actions.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack and digest. I don't know how you do it all in 30 minutes. I need to take that on board for more webinars moving forward. But yeah, we've had a lot of conversations about, actively segmenting your database, diving deeper into your database or customer base, why they're there, and obviously making a connection between that online interaction and what you do offline with that, through multi-channel aspects as well. So I think that ties it all together perfectly. And I think that what I really took out of it is that, we're all on a run in regards to how we want to talk to a client, but we don't think about how they need us to talk to the client as well in regards to your deeper conversations, your deeper questioning. And I think that that's going to help you with your communication moving forward.
Yeah, the big thing here, Toby, is about learning the power of data and what you can be doing with that, right? So one of our clients in Melbourne, got very excited. They were selling a lot of units and they wanted to try and sell more houses. And I said, Josh, how can we break into the houses market? And I said, well, if you've got 600 properties under management, where do your landlords live? They said, our landlords, they live in houses. I said, okay, great. Well, let's go and get all of the landlord data and go and do something with it. So we went off, we got all of the landlord data. We got those 600 pieces of information on where they lived. We then went and mapped the data on Google Maps using a little service called batchgeo.com. When we took all of the addresses, guess what? 550 of the landlords lived at the office. How do they all live at the office? I thought, geez, you guys must have a tower above the office. And what we worked out very, very quickly is that on the managing agency agreements, they'd been writing in for a long period of time after they went to a risk assessment, session, the address of the owner, care of the office. And that's actually what people have been putting into the database. And so we don't even know where our existing landlords live. Now, this leads me to this question. Out of those 660 landlords, how many of them would like to buy? How many of them are in a profession, the arts, the entertainment, the hospitalities right now, which is going to potentially, unfortunately, force them to have to sell the asset? How many of our landlords are in a position that they're doing really well, that they're accountants and legal and all of that sort of stuff in IT, that are in a position that they would go and buy those investment properties? And what we've got to start to understand is that we can spend a lot of money in marketing, or we can spend some time in really getting to know our customers. And this is where the opportunity is, isn't it? Like, to think that great agents say, why do I actually do it? And everyone can relate to that, because I have a look at that and say, mate, I do get 100 emails a day. I do delete 70 of them. I open 30, and out of the 30 that I open, I'll probably click on 10. Why? That's showing that there's digital intent, that I want to go and do something, and I want to do something in that offline environment. So isn't the secret there to go and make sure that we go and push people in that way? And I think that this is a really interesting thing, is that the more that we get people there, the better off that we are. Here's a great question, Toby. Let's answer this together. It's a good one. Our database is 4,000 contacts. How do I email contact that is relevant to all of them at the same time when it's so diverse? The hospitality worker versus the financial planner. Well, to me, that would actually be making sure that I've got great video content where I specifically talk about what's happening in the market today. We know that Heron Todd White is telling us that lots of markets, particularly the major metros like Melbourne and Sydney, are moving into a declining market. I'd talk more generally around those. And then after that, I'd have some links inside of that email, which is like, if you're going through any of these live events, we can help. Now, the great thing is that we can track every single link that's clicked. If they click on that particular link and go to that particular website, you can go and see how many people clicked on this link inside of the body of the email. So on the back of that, let's call those people. And that can be a really good way to start to help to segment the database as much as possible. And this is also to survey tools, a massively important one, because it allows people to update exactly what it is that they're looking for, if they've got some intent in particular areas. So then that way you can help to get that database segmented as quickly as possible. Now, the professions one's a bit of an interesting one, but I think like the secret is that if you're going through one of these particular situations, click here to be able to go and put in a question, and we're going to be able to help you with that. And that's the basic idea about what we're trying to do now, is to understand the power of the data. We've got all of these people, and this is the thing that amazes me, right? If you go and have a look at it, have a look at the last 50 listings that you have won, and I want you to tell me how many of those 50 vendors were actually following you on social media at the point that you listed the property. And then go on to tell me, out of those 50 vendors, how many of them were already on your database, and how many were already receiving emails before they made the decision to list the property. And this is what I think a lot of people are going to make that switch very quickly. They go, far out. I met this seller as a buyer when they inquired on a property 3 years ago. We put them on the email system. We were sending them relevant properties, and now we can actually go and do something with it. I think that that's such an important quality conversation, as a part of that driver to really significantly shift the momentum. So that's what I'd be doing with that. Making sure. Any other thoughts, Toby, on what you could do if you had 4,000 contacts in your database?
So I've done recent webinars on this in regards to moving people from an awareness campaign into a conversion campaign. And that's exactly what you said, putting in, those video updates and those articles that you can then track and segment your database, and then set up more targeted campaigns so that you're not emailing all 4,000 at once. You're separating 4,000 into highly refined targeted audiences, and then sending them more consideration and conversion messages after that. So that you're obviously generating the leads following on from that. So it's all about sending them the relevant information to that particular audience at the right time. But in the first place, you have to segment them to get that obviously audience built.
And the great thing is that you can actually track exactly what people are doing. And so at the back of that can drive your intent. So I love that idea. You know, let's go and get the report of all the people that have updated themselves on the survey. Let's go and get a list of all the people that have actually clicked on the emails this week. Let's go and have a look at all the people that have unsubscribed. And Toby, believe it or not, I love an unsubscribe. Unsubscribes are probably the best thing that ever happens inside of your real estate career, because they're unsubscribing because why? They're trying to tell you something's changed. Help me over here. I've just bought, I've just sold. What you're sending me isn't relevant. So now that allows you to get more relevant as a part of that. And I love that, you know, the first time that anyone ever turns on ActivePipe, you get that shock and horror when all of a sudden there's 50 unsubscribes on day one. Like, why do they unsubscribe? It's because you don't have a relationship. You haven't said anything to them for a long period of time. They're no longer looking to do something at a real estate level. It doesn't mean that the real relationship is lost. It means you got to get on the phone. And what great agents do is they learn how to get on the phone and convert. So let me show you a really simple question. You know, hey, Toby, Josh Phegan calling from ActivePipe. And I noticed that you've actually unsubscribed from our email list. I just want to say thanks so much to be able to serve you over that period of time. Usually when people unsubscribe, it's because they've just bought something, or they're in a position that what we've sold, or they've just bought something, or what they're in a position that they're looking for has actually changed. Which one is it for you? Oh, I just bought. And this is where everyone goes wrong, Toby, because they go, oh, where'd you buy one? What you should do is say, oh, congratulations. And Toby, did you buy to move in, or did you buy to lease it out? I know we bought to move in. Okay. An interesting conversation. Have you bought locally before? No, it was our first time. Toby, what I love to do for people that are brand new to the area, maybe there's like a significant listing or a sale or something I think happens, I think you should know about. I might just give you a quick bell, let you know, particularly if that impacts on the saleable value of your property. Would that be useful? Would that be okay? Yeah, that'd be great. And mate, just to make sure that I'm sending you the right information, what was the address of the property that you purchased? And this is the secret, is that in order to build out, to get more human learning to happen in the way that we work with customers, we've got to learn how to get past those fast thinking human minds, right? And the lesson is that literally, if we just go for the address without creating a need, they won't want to be spammed. We've got to go the other way, create the need, create the desire, and then be in a position to then go for the physical address of the property. And this is the secret, is that taking that digital intent and moving that back into a physical intent is a huge growth driver in order to be able to get your business to grow.
And definitely agents can take that same advice when they're capturing data in the first place. We've got plenty of clients who don't even grab emails, or they struggle to grab emails in the first place. And I think that what you just said here, in creating that value and that need beforehand, is obviously going to make it easier to capture that data as well. Now, I've also had a question that someone said in regards to this session. There's obviously a lot to unpack. You will get a recording of this session as well, so that you can go through and always, you know, pause and go through any of these questions as well in more detail. But yeah, anything else Toby, you wanted to add? Yeah.
I think the big thing is to realize how much the world is changing. And I don't know about you, but on Monday, I made the decision to go walletless. So now I'm literally mobile phone everywhere I go, contactless payments. I've got everything I need on my phone. In New South Wales, you can have your driver's license on your phone. So mate, I'm actually in a position that I no longer need to carry my wallet. And it was a scary idea. And I was in this position, I started to think about, okay, great. And I got out of the car on Monday morning and I had some dry cleaning I had to drop off at the dry cleaner. And as I went to go there, I went, oh no, the dry cleaner's not open yet. I'm here too early. And there's a little drop-off bin that they've got, but you need to put your credit card in normally for it to recognize your account before it will open the chute to drop the dry cleaning in. You wouldn't believe it what happened over the weekend, Toby. They've done an upgrade on the dry cleaning machine, and now you can just tap in your mobile number and it automatically connects, so you don't even have to put your credit card in anymore. I'm like, wow, the world has finally caught up. And this is what I want you to think about, is that as an agent, people expect you to be better in the digital environment. And the way to get better is to understand who are the people that are opening those emails, what are they actually doing with them, and how are you then using that to drive a more powerful call list. And I think that, like, as the rise and rise of AI and the rise and rise of machine learning comes into play, let's have a look at what the digital intent and what is the customer actually doing when they open that email, because that then determines a better quality group of people that we can be going after. And I look at that, like, the secret is creating beautiful quality email content that relates specifically to customers' desires. And I think that one of the big problems here is, Toby, is that a lot of people don't think about how you do that. At the end of the day, mate, Coles and Woolworths, they don't send you out an entire list of all of the inventory that's available inside of their stores every week. What they do is they send you their weekly specials. What they do is they send you the one thing that everyone wants to buy. And yet, real estate agents, we still send the longest emails. We're not thinking about how we shorten it to the most relevant content and literally to be able to get people interested around the type of content that we're actually producing. So I think that this is a great way to kind of level up, play a completely different game. I want you to get really good at using the reports that sit inside of ActivePipe. Have a look at your unsubscribe list. Have a look at your frequent clickers. Have an understanding about the digital intent. Get a list of all the people that have updated their preferences, because the more that you can do that, that provides a really good quality list of people for you to be surveying, and they're having better quality conversations in the offline environment to actually go and produce result. This is game time today. And I think that you planned it, Toby, knowing you. This is the first day of spring. This is what great agents are doing. They're out there, they're building momentum. In under 2 weeks, we're very hopeful that our Melbourne clientele will be able to resume service as previously planned and to get out there doing inspections and appointments and auctions. And we'll look for that guidance on the weekend, no doubt. But the secret is that now use this time to segment that database, to work out who's next, so then you can have a very powerful business. So Toby, open to any further questions before we finish our session today.
No, I think that's pretty much it. You've covered everything, and you know, I really appreciate everyone's time. We've gone a bit over the half an hour, but I think that this is so valuable. You know, it's really interesting to see how our clients adapt to the new era, as you say, in real estate. There's obviously no manual book for real estate, so this is a great resource for them to draw upon and obviously move forward into spring and get ahead as well. So really excited to see how you all implement these ideas. We're always happy to help as well, so please feel free to email us at success@activepipe.com. Happy to field any further questions to Josh as well and get you into contact. But again, really appreciate it. And you can see that there's a lot of feedback coming through. Everyone who listens to you gets a lot of value out of these sessions, and this is why we're so thankful for your time as well. So yeah, really thank you again, Josh. And it's been a pleasure as always.
Awesome to be with you today, Toby, and thanks so much for all of our attendees. I see some great clients all around Australia, from the northern beaches of Sydney right the way through to inner city Melbourne and even over in Auckland. Great to have you here, team, and we look forward to seeing you in our next session that we get to do with ActivePipe. Privilege and a pleasure to be here, and make sure that you stay super well, do what great agents do, and have a lot of fun out there as much as you can. Thanks, team.